The Multiversus developer Q&A has finished up, and let's say it was a little bit of a mixed bag in terms of what we were hoping would get answered compared to what we did get answered. There's some good stuff in here, but there's also a few things that were kind of a waste of time, if you ask me. So we're going to look at some of the questions and answers that were more on the significant side of things, and then I'm going to give my overall opinion. So question number 1 has to do with the blast zones on every single stage. So that question is, will the blast zones be adjusted due to the larger character scale? Not something I thought of, but kind of a good question in itself. And the answer is yes, they have fine-tuned the blast zones on every single stage so that 1v1 and 2v2 experiences feel better, which is good. Again, like I said, probably not something a lot of people thought of, but it will be somewhat of a significance, right? Bigger characters, they're going to reach the blast zone a little bit quicker. So did they expand this a little bit more? Are the stages going to feel a little bit bigger due to this, or how's it going to play out? But they did say that they fine-tuned them all, so at least we got that answer. Question number 2 has to do with the new parry mechanic that is in the game. So the question is, how will a parry interact with an armored attack? Because there are attacks in this game that give a certain character armor, so it kind of protects them, right? So how does that work? How does the parry interact with that? Well, it kind of boils down to this. If you parry an armored attack or an armored opponent, it will essentially break their armor on the attack. So that's kind of cool. It rewards you a little bit more for having that precision to parry the attack, whatever it might be. And if you parry an opponent from long range, I'm guessing this has to mean like some sort of projectile, right? So if you parry them from a long range, it will bring them closer to you so you can get your punish. I'm curious to see how, whoa, did I just have a voice crack there? Okay, sure. But I am very curious to see how that plays out. Like if you parry a projectile from the other side of the stage, what happens? Does the opponent just come flying towards you? I'm not sure how that's going to play out, so we'll have to keep our eyes out for however that might play out. But we also get another answer here for parries. If you parry a normal projectile, it just destroys the projectile altogether. So that's kind of cool. And then they also tell us a little bit about one of the new perks that they updated, Clear the Air, where they say if the wearer of this perk now parries a normal projectile, it ends up reflecting the projectile back at them. It no longer destroys that. But again, you have to wear that this updated perk. So it's cool. Again, normal projectile. So heavy projectiles, for example, Bugs Bunny's rocket or his safe, I guess you cannot parry. I think you can parry that, but it doesn't destroy the projectile itself. So you might have some interesting interactions between that, but you know, cool. Parries, if you can pull it off, you should be well rewarded in game as long as you can, you know, have the timing to punish your opponent. Question number 3, stages. Now, if you're expecting specific stage to be confirmed, you'll be let down, but we have information on how stage layouts are going to kind of come into play. Like, what was their thought process? How did they design these new stages, for example? So question is, will the new stages have hazards? Will they have different layouts so people can have a laugh and just have fun? Are there wacky stages, and then are there going to be competitive stages? Well, the answer is obviously going to be yes to both of those, but they kind of break it down saying that maps were initially designed with an eye for casual gameplay and unique map interactions. And then they also have their more competitive variants that were explored as well. So a lot of the newer maps will have a distinct version for competitive and casual play, so that's kind of interesting. Are they going to kind of do like a, let's take the WB Water Tower as an example. Maybe it's kind of a wackier type of stage, but is there a way to transform it into like a Final Destination or a Battlefield variant of a stage? So I guess I'm asking, are stages going to have variants of themselves? So you can have the fun side, but you can have the competitive side too. Is that the route that they took? I mean, I guess that's kind of what they're saying a little bit. Maybe I'm misreading that, but yes, we're still getting more casual-sided stages, fun-sided stages, and we will still have competitive side of stages. Question number 4, asking about perks. I kind of wish that they would have ignored this one altogether, and you see why. Because the question is, basically, is there any information that can currently be given regarding potential changes to perks? Are they still in the game? If so, blah, blah, blah. And the answer that they give is yes, but also no. They don't think they're at liberty to talk about any of the specifics yet. but perks have been updated in a big way. So it's like they told us something, but then they didn't tell us, you know, the fine details about it. It was basically like saying, hey, we changed this, but we can't tell you what we changed. So very, I don't know, this one felt empty. I feel like they should have just ignored this question. I get the devs are trying to do their best here in the Q&A, and they're not going to be able to answer every single question. I get that. I'm not holding that against them in any way, but if you can't really answer a question thoroughly, you might as well just ignore it. You know, otherwise we just get open-ended blank statements like this, and in my opinion, it's not the best look. But again, I'm not putting the blame on the devs. They're doing their best, so, you know, we get what we get. Question number 5, game speed. Is it going to feel the same as before? That was the question. Will the game still feel like launch? I'm pretty sure that meant open beta. But will the game feel like open beta, but less laggy, like floaty and fast-paced, or was it tweaked altogether? And you can see the answer, but basically the main takeaway is Nakat believes the gameplay speed is influenced by player skill, which, yeah, that is true. But the game is still quick, but it's not chaotic pace that doesn't allow, you know, spectators, if you're trying to just watch a match simply, I don't know, on YouTube or at a gaming event or wherever you're just trying to watch a match, it's not all over the place where you can't actually follow along with what's going on. So it's good. I like that. I kind of like the pace that they had before. Maybe it was a time. The bigger characters are really going to help in this situation, in my opinion. So again, we just have to experience it for ourselves. But it says it's still quick, but not too quick. So, you know, you got to find the right balance. And I'm pretty sure that they've been doing that quite a bit. So hopefully the game speed is still somewhat reminiscent and familiar to returning players, because, you know, we want to come back and feel like the game still feels like itself, but we also want to be able to feel what's new about the game. So hopefully they got everything settled and, you know, figured out here. Question number 6. For those of you that like concept art for stages or maybe characters or variants or anything like that, the question that was asked was, will the devs ever show more concept art for the game? And the simple answer is yes. So anybody that likes that kind of stuff, and I kind of like that. I'm not super into it, but I still like when we get to see like an early concept of here's what the stage might have looked like, and then it kind of evolved into whatever it might have become. So it's cool. If you like this stuff, they're going to share more of this. Don't know where, don't know when, but they will share more of it. Question number 7 has to do with characters, but hype responsibly, because if you thought they were going to answer or confirm/deny specific characters in this dev Q&A, that was never a realistic possibility. They were never going to do that, so hopefully you did hype responsibly. But the question that has to do with characters, somebody just asked the devs who on the current roster is their personal favorite, and then the devs all kind of say who it is. But quite a few of them end with a, well, I guess you'll see in a few weeks, in terms of a new character that they all really like. So my confusion with this is, they know the game comes out in a few weeks, right? Are they seriously going to wait till like the last week or the week of the game coming out to start revealing new characters? Are we ever going to get more information about guild mode? Like, what's going on? So a little confused by this answer in terms of timing overall. Like, I feel like we should have maybe gotten something by now in terms of a new character announcement. With the devs saying a few weeks, that's, I don't know. Like, I get we'll get information. I'm still playing the game regardless, but yeah, the game comes out in a few weeks, but we still have to wait a few weeks to see the new character. It was a confusing thing. That was one of the main takeaways for me from this. Like, it's cool that they answered stuff, but then they answered a bunch of questions. So this is where I'm going to start giving my opinion on this whole thing. Like I said at the very beginning, this was kind of a mixed bag. They answered some stuff, and then they really didn't answer a lot of other things that they could have answered. For example, somebody asked a question like, hey, do you acknowledge that the fans are glad that the game's coming back? What do you expect the devs to say? No, we hate everyone. Like, this was something that they answered in the dev Q&A that was just like a waste of time, honestly. This never should have been addressed. They could have answered more straightforward questions, more real questions, something along the lines of, hey, do you guys have a roadmap, and are you going to be sharing it anytime soon? Or, hey, can we get information about guild mode? What's exactly happening with that? Or you get the idea. They could have answered a lot more questions that have to do about the game instead of silly nothing burger of questions. You know, again, I love that the devs set this up, but maybe it's me. Maybe I expected a little too much. Maybe I didn't hype responsibly for this. Maybe that's on me. And if it is, okay, I'll own it. But I'm just, overall, I'm happy it happened, but I still expected maybe a little bit more out of this. I don't know. It's kind of a weird feeling. So anybody watching this late into the video, if you would please, how did you feel about this dev Q&A overall? Were you happy with it? Were you satisfied? Was it okay? I felt like it was all right. We did get some stuff, but not a lot of the stuff that we were hoping to get. So I don't know. Again, mixed bag for me, but that's just me personally. That is it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I guess I'll see you when I'm looking at you.